Alright, well, let's see what the evil cunt has to say. First of all, yeah, you're an evil cunt. You really are. Shortly after Charlie was assassinated, I made a video telling people exactly what not to do. And you, as someone who got to know the man personally, you, as somebody who allegedly cares so deeply for the man, you, who so selfishly can't put her own stupid opinions aside and let a widow grieve in peace and try to raise 2 kids without a husband and without their father. No, you're an evil cunt, Candace Owens. And anybody who supports you, likewise. And you are worse than Antifa. You know, if he was alive to see this, if you've never seen Braveheart, you should see it. You should watch it. And the moment that William Wallace realizes who it was who had betrayed him, that's the look. That's the look that you get. But you don't care. Because you, again, you're an evil cunt. You always have been. And I pray that, God willing, you're not always. But there's no repentance in your heart, your mind, your words, or your actions. There's just utter evil. And the fact that you pretend to be good is exactly why you're so evil. The fact that you know you're not good and you're deceiving a lot of people is exactly why you're evil. You took what could have done what was being done, and you not only made it completely about yourself, but make it completely anti everything Charlie Kirk was about. You're the epitome of evil. And I'd love to grant ignorance to the people who listen to you. But to be so woefully and willfully ignorant, that's without excuse. But let's just listen to you in your own words. Prove that you're an evil cunt.
All right, you guys, it's happening. It's happening. Everybody stay calm. After yesterday's episode where we went kind of for the jugular with Turning Point USA, because really I think
So first of all, the joy that she has in forcing a grieving widow and the best friends of a man to relive every second of that horrific incident in the time before and after, and the glee that she gains from that, evil. We're what, 10 seconds in? I mean, she can't even, she's like the devil. She can't contain herself. Just like the devil can't contain himself. Just has to. Just has to.
Body in the entire world has had enough with the non-response, trying to move on, trying to gaslight us on answering basic details. So we just went for it. And guess what? Turning Point has moved to formally respond to all the things that we have said. And after a very long diatribe in which they wildly misrepresent the public and global investigation of
Global investigation. Do you see how you portray Turning Point? You don't portray Turning Point as a institution that you cared about, or you care about. You speak of Charlie and his institution as the scorned woman, as the woman who wasn't chosen. That's what you come off as to even the people who like you, these women who identify with that same mentality, same principle, just applied differently in their own lives. And they're just like, oh yeah, let the scorned woman win. They even know. They look at Eric and they're like, oh, look at that stupid, white, privileged. And they look at you and they're like, oh yeah, that's me, and that's me and my own. And so you go get him. That's how you come off. Disingenuous and fucking evil.
Charlie Kirk's assassination, they at long last issued a public invitation or a challenge. I'm not sure what it is, but I accept. Okay. Quite literally, all we have ever asked for were sensible answers to our basic questions about what transpired on September 10th. And it looks like we're going to get those things. So major win. I am excited. Also later.
Major win. You know, I'm all for getting to the bottom of any investigation, getting to the truth of any investigation, and for real justice to be done. But what you're doing, Candace Owens, is evil and unjust and to make the people who Charlie Kirk loved so much go through this kind of stuff. Here we are 3 months after the fact. And not only his family, but what you're doing to the conservative movement. Because, well, let's just be honest, most people, whether you're left or right, are lemmings. So what you're doing to those who at least pretend to adopt conservative values, what you're doing and what you're leading them to is evil. And the joy that you take in it, in doing evil. That's why I'm going to start categorizing all of your intellectual dishonesty, your obvious ignorance, your surface level thinking, while portraying these novels of breadcrumbs that lead to nowhere. But each breadcrumb is like an episode of a soap opera, you see. And so it's entertaining, it's thought-provoking in that it's surface level. The whole of the world can understand it because the whole of the world can understand a soap opera. And that's what you've turned one of the most tragic incidents in American history, one of the most beloved American patriots and Christians and Christian apologists, and just a great man. You've turned that incident into one of the most divisive, I don't know if I've seen in my time, 40 years, a moment where everything seemed to be, it's almost like, it's almost like after 9/11, the day, like September 12th, people are like, I'm going to church, I'm going to show an American flag, I'm going to say I love America out loud. And within a couple years, it's like, I'm for the war, I'm against the war, and I hate you. You've turned, but you did it in 3 months. Now that says two things. One, as much as I love the United States of America, all sides are full of lemmings. Unthinking human beings, just doing whatever the box tells them. And two, people really did. I never did. I've always thought that you were subversive. But people in the conservative movement really trusted you. They trusted that you were like, you know what, I saw Black Lives Matter, and you know what, I was for Black Lives Matter, now I'm not, and I was a leftist, now I'm not. My family's all conservative, but not, and some aren't, and the ones that aren't, oh, we fight for hours about it. And they trusted you. And this is what you've done with that trust. You're an evil cunt.
On the show, what I have for you is The Game, whose rapper is releasing a song that is entitled The Assassination of Candace Owens. And I have more questions. I've got questions.
Who finds joy in a song talking about their own assassination? Who mocks such sadness? Evil people. Evil people. And you can say you're just laughing at yourself, you don't want to take it. But no, you're really not bothered by it. You're sociopathic, psychopathic, evil cunt. Now I can't, diagnose you as clinically psychopathic or sociopathic. Neither one of those things actually exists, but the traits that make up the outline, yeah, you got all of them. And they trusted you.
Am I allowed to have questions? Welcome back to Candace. Donors that wrote public letters, or donors that didn't write public letters but sent us messages encouraging us to keep going. Today feels like a win because guess what? It forced Turning Point USA to finally respond, and that was the entire point, okay? That has been the point of refusing to let up even 1 second in this investigation. They wanted to simply be able to eulogize Charlie Kirk at a big memorial event, and then they wanted us to simply move on. And we didn't do that, okay? So...
Can I ask, given the fact that anything beyond a surface level looking into all of your bullshit is exactly that, bullshit. Why would it be wrong to want to eulogize Charlie in an atmosphere that, let's just be honest, Charlie would have loved? And then to move forward, to take Turning Point to levels even Charlie couldn't see, that Charlie couldn't foresee. Why? Why would that be wrong? Oh, I know. Because then you wouldn't have 2 million views a day, you evil cunt. Whoa.
Yeah, we should celebrate the fact that we kept up the pressure, that we insisted that we have answers, that even in this tremendous culture of ADHD and everyone's constantly being distracted by their iPhones, that we kept the focus, okay? Turning Point is going to commit to a live streamed event where they are apparently going to answer all of these lingering questions. And I would say these were pretty basic questions right out of the gate. Why they didn't do that right out of the gate, nobody knows.
Nobody knows. Evil cunt. I pray that you're never put in a position that any of them, or any of the people who were there, any one of them who was intimately involved, who witnessed their best friend, their thought leader, their hero in many ways, be shot in the neck for the whole world to see, to gush blood, to die immediately. I pray you never have to deal with anything like that. And if, God forbid, you ever did have to deal with something so tragic, I definitely pray that people who claim to be your friend didn't blame you for the tragic event that took place. Because that would be an evil fucking thing to do.
Hear them, their explanation for why they didn't in just a moment, because they sent Blake Neff out. Blake Neff, by the way, is the producer of the Charlie Kirk Show. Now he is kind of the rotating talent of the Charlie Kirk Show. He was already featured with Charlie on the show, so that's not unusual. But I think we probably anticipated that Andrew Colvett, who is the TPUSA spokesperson, would have been the person to deliver this message. Maybe in theory, that should have been his job. Maybe he's traveling. The point is, we got Blake Neff, and I want to say, just to reiterate, that I have always maintained that whatever is going on at Turning Point USA, I have not felt that Blake Neff is one of the bad guys, okay? I just have never gotten that particular vibe from...
So whatever's going on, he's not one of the bad guys. Insinuating that there's a lot of bad guys at a institution that she claims to have been a big part of. And do you see how the intellectual dishonesty starts to pile up? And yet you still persist, you evil bitch.
Him, I believe that when he speaks, he believes that he is telling the truth. And maybe that's why they want him in front of the camera. He's been the only person that has been responding in a way that feels even remotely authentic when he defends the actions of Mikey McCoy on that day. I sense that he believes that he is telling the truth. Anyways, let's listen to what Blake Neff had to say in its entirety. It's not going to feel organic. Obviously, he's reading from a piece of paper. This has probably been
I would think that if I was being genuinely curious, I would at least try to be charitable and generous. You see, because that's how you steelman an argument, is by being charitable and generous. You grant points when points should be granted. Because if your argument is the argument that should prevail, then your argument should be able to withstand any and all questions that are made in good faith. These are not good faith questions. These are the things someone who was would ask.
reviewed 12 times by many different lawyers, because that's how it works at big organizations and companies. But I don't fault him that. We'll pause at certain moments because I do want to be able to respond throughout it. It's a bit long, but I want to give them my platform as I always.
No longer than your hour-long shows that you've been putting out for 3 months talking shit about these people who you claim to fucking care about, you stupid evil cunt.
Always have made that offer to. So here is Blake Neff.
Ever since Charlie's murder, Candace Owens has leveled a flood of allegations against people at Turning Point USA, people at Turning Point Action, and people who work for this show. She's made them against some of Charlie's closest friends and against some of his most dedicated employees.
Yes.
She has suggested that Michael McCoy, Charlie's chief of staff, knew Charlie would be murdered, was happy that he died, and stayed silent because he was told he would be the next Charlie. She has suggested Michael is not his real name. It is. I have seen his birth certificate.
She's not denying any of these things. She'll deny something here coming up.
Myself. She has called it suspicious that Mikey's wife, who works at Turning Point, helped plan the campus tour event where Charlie was murdered, which...
And she'll try to justify and say, well, I didn't really... It doesn't matter. You didn't deny any of the things that were said previous, which are pretty grotesque considering you cared about these people and you're trying to just be honest, right? Honest. I'm just trying to be honest. Honest. Just asking questions. Look, she's like, I can't believe you're calling me out. I was making so much money. Don't worry, the lemmings are still gonna follow you, because lemming's gonna fucking lemming. But you're still an evil bitch.
She didn't, by the way, she doesn't work on campus events.
Okay, so first and foremost, I actually never said that she helped plan the event. I said it was suspicious that Mikey McCoy's wife, that we never found out who did plan the event. That was one of the answers that we wanted to know.
See, you notice how, like, we needed to know about Mikey's wife, and then she just pivots to, like, well, who did this thing? Well, why even mention Mikey's wife then? Oh, I know, because you're an evil bitch.
And I said that she works in events. Still was not clear on what happened regarding Mikey McCoy. I think the entire world believes that his actions are suspicious because we have eyes, and you don't get to wiggle out of that by pretending that us playing the words of his own father, Rob McCoy, who I think is highly suspicious in all of this. He has a suspicious background. We played his own words as he tried to sanitize someone who spent time in prison for being a sexual deviant, right? For trying to...
Oh, man. Did you do a whole documentary on a... Wait, never mind. Let's not talk about that.
To take photos of young girls. I don't think he's a good guy, and you're not going to make us forget those things because you are trying to pretend that Mikey's actions were totally normal that day. They weren't. That's why I didn't make...
Another question. If your goal was to find out who killed Charlie Kirk and not destroy his legacy and the institution that he built, why is any of this relevant? Oh, wait, I forgot. You're an evil bitch. Gotta remember that.
The public feel that way, okay? I may have voiced how they felt, which everyone else is refusing to do, but I do believe that Mikey McCoy should have to answer for who he had on the phone right when the shot went off. So, yeah, his father, his own father, is the one that spoke about Charlie's notebooks and spoke about how Mikey McCoy was talented. And it was Mikey McCoy who then jumped on Liberty University's stage for an event that was scheduled for Charlie Kirk. So there you go. That's our perspective. And I'm going to stand by it. Let's keep it rolling.
Candace has suggested the Utah Valley University event was unusual and its details suggested a, quote, inside job.
It was unusual. That's a fact. And you can quote me on that because I worked for Turning Point USA and I went on every tour since 2019. And typically those events are decided at least the semester before. This came together very quickly. It is unusual. And I don't know why you think that you are going to be able to disprove that notion when I have the emails to support that claim. Let's keep it rolling.
She has claimed that foreign aircraft have followed Erica Kirk around the country and that Turning Point has lied about this happening.
Definitely never said Turning Point lied because you never responded. So that doesn't actually make any sense. And this is why it's not good to have lawyers.
Let me zoom in the best that I possibly can before I go on any further. The fact that there wasn't just a body standing there to go, no one goes up top. That's the only question, folks. You see, because that's the only thing that would have prevented this from taking place. And I believe people know that that was a huge misstep. I believe the people who made that misstep were the people who were closest to Charlie Kirk. And I believe that they will forever feel like Charlie Kirk's death was partially their fault. Genuine guilt. Something that you will never feel. Maybe you will. But I don't. I'm not holding my breath, and I wouldn't bet money on it. Yes, there should have been somebody, anybody, going, nope, no one goes up top. But everything else that comes out of your mouth, all of your questions or your concerns, are bullshit. And the extra grief that you're causing, I'll simply say this. The word says that in this world, there will be evil, and there will be suffering. But woe to those who cause it. And woe to you, Candace Owens.
Write things out because sometimes they're not so detail oriented. What we did was we showed at first that.
I'll be right back. This is. What are we like? Not even 8 minutes into this thing. I'll be back. I'm just gonna have to let her talk for a bit.
That when I plotted these strange Egyptian jets, that they were following Charlie. And that was a concern because I wondered if they were tracking Charlie. We then obviously realized that they were tracking TPUSA faith events and that many more times they were following and perhaps tracking Erica. You should be concerned about that. We find it odd that rather than being concerned or trying to get answers to why a foreign military jet would be on the ground during a time when Charlie Kirk was assassinated, you're upset with us for asking questions about these jets. Let's keep rolling.
She has accused us of lying about Charlie wanting Erica to take over for him if he died.
Never happened. That is not a quotation. That is just them saying that. So let's keep rolling.
She has suggested Charlie's security team intentionally denied him first aid after the shooting to ensure that he died.
When you say suggested,
What do you do? Candace, what the fuck do you do? You've seen the footage. What are they supposed to pull out some fucking gauze and some band-aids?
it means that they are interpreting my words. What I said is another fact. They did not issue him first aid when he fell down. There was nobody who pulled out any gauze and tried to stop the bleeding.
She's serious. Wait, hold on. Am I wrong? Is she just retarded? Is that the easier answer? She's retarded. And unfortunately, most of America is retarded too. Oh no. Some gauze, Candace? Some gauze?
And they've admitted to that. In a sit down with Sean Ryan, Brian Harpole said it was because of the severity of the injury. I'm sorry again that we noticed something that stood out as unusual, given.
I tell you what, go hunting with anybody who can shoot with something other than a fucking straight cartridge. And you'll see some guys ain't gonna help no fucking deer from a 30-06. You ain't gonna band-aid that back up. That's not happening.
And the expertise and the amount of money that he was paying that supposed to be an elite team. Let's keep rolling.
She has raised suspicions about the head of our technical team because he took an SD card out of a camera. She has spread absurd claims that Tyler Boyer, who we just had on the show, sexually abuses male interns.
Okay, so yes, the SD card thing is unbelievably suspicious. It's not something that you would do. Neither would you just run up onto a grassy knoll and record yourself. Again, these are unusual actions. And rather than trying to pretend like it's normal to record a selfie video of yourself and to prematurely announce that somebody is dead, maybe you should answer why all of that took place, because you guys told lies about, verifiable lies about why that took place. Because don't forget, Andrew Colvett sat next to you and said it was because people were stealing. If people were stealing, you probably would want to grab the very expensive cameras and not the SD card for an event that was being live streamed. Regarding Tyler Boyer, I'm so glad we're going to do this live streamed because...
Question. Is one of those replaceable and the other one not? Oh wait. She is retarded. She is retarded. Fudge. Dang. I'm still going to call you an evil bitch.
I'm happy to present to you the exact name of the intern, and I didn't say that he abused him. I didn't say it was not consensual. I said that he likes younger boys. I don't mean like younger as in they're not of the legal age. I'm just saying they're a lot younger than him. And yeah, I can...
So we got questions about a gay guy? who has consensual sex with other gay guys who are above the age of 18. We got a question about some other guy's wife. We got questions about this other guy who's grabbing an SD card. Yep. Think we're dealing with an artard, folks. Think we're dealing with an artard who looks like a space alien.
Give you the exact name of the intern that he hooked up with. That person was not at Turning Point USA. But I can also give you more than that, as well as people that are currently working for Turning Point USA who said that Tyler Boyer and these are young men tried to hook up with them after some events. So I'm glad we're going to live stream that. Keep going.
She has suggested that TPUSA faith-affiliated pastors, like theologian Frank Turek, who we'll have on in a moment, and Pastor Rob McCoy, are part of a military, quote, infiltration of Turning Point, either because they are veterans or because they have family members who are.
Yeah, so I do believe the Calvary Chapel, their history with Chuck Smith, the evidence that it was a militant CIA effort to infiltrate the Christian faith and to tie the Christian faith to the political ideology of Zionism. I think there's a lot of evidence for that, and I'm happy to discuss that in a broader debate. I do think that things...
No. Please, God, no. Please, God, please, God. May your will not be for her to have the credentials to actually be looked at as a theologian. No, no, may you please not will that. In the name above all names, I pray. Amen. Oh, my. Please, no, 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 oh God, no. Oh, no. No.
At Turning Point USA became a bit problematic when you started to, I would say, almost hijack genuine Christian faith and sort of roll it into this idea that you...
Funny you mention hijack, you stupid fucking evil cunt. Get back to the back, to the back of the back of the back of the bus. Because there are people who have been fighting this fight for a hell of a lot longer that you have just thrown under the bus. Who did the work. Oh, evil person. I'm telling you, Candace, I hope you watched the movie Braveheart, and the look on William Wallace's face when he sees the betrayal.
Must support Israel in order to be a Christian. That's kind of floating into more opinion, but I think well backed by the facts of the founding of the Calvary Chapel Church during the decade of the 60s, where the CIA was really just spiking the ball on Christians in general. Let's keep going.
Even if not everyone has been named specifically, though, Candace has effectively tarred everyone here with complicity in Charlie's death by repeatedly saying he was, quote, betrayed by, quote, everyone.
Sorry, that was a dream that I had. And it is also a realization that it has been months. People at Turning Point USA are in possession of text messages. And the day before Charlie died, in which he wrote out to you, and not just to people that work at Turning Point USA, but also security guards, that he thought that they were going to kill him tomorrow, explicitly. I find it highly unusual that you wouldn't share that information at all, or that you would sit by and be quiet.
While what? An actual investigation took place? All you're doing is doing work for the fucking defense, you stupid evil cunt. You know what I think? You know what I think? I think you really hope that the killer gets off. Because you're hoping that you become popular enough, because that's really all you care about. Just like the devil. He doesn't care about what temptation you have. they'll just feed it to you. And you're just looking to feed all the lemmings. Yeah, I think you want to see Charlie's murderer set free. Because Charlie didn't pick you, and you've secretly waited for this. And now not only do you get to joyfully and gleefully stomp on his grave and piss on his institution, but now you get to like post-death destroy the people that he cared about. You're an evil fucking cunt. And the people who like you are likewise.
Or at some points attack people that are trying to explore who they is, because I don't think anybody believes that Charlie thought that a trans furry kid who had never been on UVU's campus was going to kill him tomorrow. And you're silent during moments when people are lying, like Josh Hammer, when he said, hey, this never happened, Charlie never blinked on Israel, makes you all look very, very suspicious. Lies are only necessary, okay, when you are covering something. And if you are covering the truth, you are betraying Charlie. So I stand by that. Let's keep going.
She has said Charlie's murder, quote, had to be approved by Charlie's friends, and then suggested those friends might have her murdered too for, quote, knowing the truth.
So you notice that's like a Snopes tactic. When he says the quote, it's actually not a full quotation. I never said that, obviously, in the context that he put it in, that Charlie's friends, quote, had to know he was going to be murdered. Did I say the sentence, had to know he was going to be murdered?
Well, it's like they had to know. So, I'm not saying they had to know. I'm saying they had to know. The lemmings don't, actually. And this is why you should be forced to answer questions rather than, if you're going to be so quick to ask questions, I think you should also be willing to answer questions. And I can think of a number. Did you ever have romantic feelings for Charlie? Did you ever find yourself feeling jealous of Erica? Why is it that you and Brandon Tatum can't argue with one another, especially publicly? But any other white person who either of you disagree with, you have no problem criticizing or condemning. I have questions, but you won't answer them. And what's worse is anybody who would be in a position to ask you those questions, they won't ask you those questions either, because they're fucking weak. But guess what? You can take joy in what you're creating, but what you're creating will destroy you, devil. Yep. Just like when Christ was crucified on the cross, the devil was ear to ear, not knowing that you sowed what you will reap. You evil, evil, evil person.
Perhaps, but we're going to need to hear the full sentence because you're trying to context it in a way that is just untrue. And I don't think it's necessary if you're willing to have a conversation that you need to lie about anything that
necessary? You don't get to say the word necessary ever again. Ever again. You have used the word necessary in the last 3 months. Everything that you've done? Nope. You don't get to go, is this really relevant? Is this really necessary? Is this really? Nope. You don't get to ever say that again. If you lived another 100 fucking lifetimes, you would never be allowed to use the word necessary without being mocked, ridiculed, and just ignored completely. If anything. If anything, mocked and ridiculed. But after about the 10th time you're going around, people are just going to be like, just shake your head, ignore it.
I've said, people have watched the show. They know exactly what I've said. And I tend to stand by what I've said. And I do stand by everything that I've said. Keep going.
She has made claims of financial impropriety and fraud at Turning Point, adding up into the millions of dollars, which, again, is not true. Charlie made sure the organization was audited by a third party every year. He personally reviewed and he signed off on every expense report, and literally every single bill paid by the organization, down to a single United States dollar. We have never missed a 990 deadline.
Okay, so
I feel like we're going to court to watch like a divorce trial, and the husband is dead and can't even defend himself. And the wife's just gonna piss and shit on absolutely everything. Because she can't actually claim it because there was like a prenup or something. So like she's not gonna get anything. So she's just going to do this. You see, I know an evil being when I see one, and I've been saying it since the beginning. Disingenuous. Just the way that you would talk about Black Lives Matter. You talk about the left the same way that you would talk about a family member who you disagreed with. And it was almost like there's a line that you won't cross. And if you do cross it, only you're allowed to cross it. And it's like you Trojan horsed yourself into the conservative movement. Found yourself a nestled yourself all in there, like, thought that because you were going to be the Kamala Harris to Joe Biden, the same way that you wanted to be Erica and Charlie, the same way that it was Kamala and Joe Biden. The conservatives, you thought you were going to be this, and you weren't. And you weren't. For whatever reason. Who knows? You look like an alien. You're a total evil bitch. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe. I don't know. But then, because that didn't happen, you waited. And just like you did at the Daily Wire, and then we have people who are like, well, because of the Daily Wire, this whole Israel issue is real weird. It's real weird. See, I've watched conservatives shoot themselves in the foot so many fucking times. Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump. Why can conservatives never put the greater good above what they believe to be perfect in their own minds? Why can they never put their own minds aside and go for the greater of the good? Hey, you know what? It's weird, because there's a balance that needs to be, that neither side will ever let be. There's the side who's like, we think completely collective, and then there's a side that says we think completely individualistic, and both lead to utter destruction. There's the taking care of yourself so you can help take care of the collective. It's not that you don't think of the collective, it's not that you don't care about the collective, it's not that I'm just going to do me and mine and blah, 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 blah. And it's also not like, I'm just going to be a parasite on everybody else. There's a balance. And this bitch is taking the side that made sense and I just wish I had control of the lemmings. My nation would look a whole heck of a lot better if I had control of the lemmings. If I was the person inside of the box that people were like, listen to this guy. He makes sense. Have babies. Help your neighbor. You ever hear of this cut stem theory? Yeah. Oh, by the way, you should read a Thomas Sowell book. You'll be better for it. Yep. I just wish I had control of the lemmings. If for like an hour a day people were like, let's just listen to what Dylan thinks. It'd be a hell of a lot better than this shit, you evil bitch.
Immorality, like financial impropriety, does not necessarily mean that you committed true financial fraud. There's definitely financial impropriety at the company. I would say that if you are representing yourself as a charity and what you're actually doing.
So why didn't you mention any of this stuff, back when you were part of it? I mean, surely you've been on the inside of everything, right? I mean, you were a big part of it. Why no questions then? Oh, because you were still thinking that you were going to be the... Oh, that's right. Okay. Well, sorry.
Is evaporating millions of dollars into various LLCs that have your name on it, that would be financial impropriety, right? Like you could say, I'm a contractor on this LLC, on that LLC. I'm not doing anything illegal, but it's inappropriate. It's improper. Most people are not able to read those forms and won't understand what's happening to the $80 million. And I think that those questions are, of course, valid and that you guys should have no issues answering them.
Have you not seen the growth in Turning Point since Turning Point started to, even to his death? Let's never mind the growth and the expansion since his death of people who took and actually cared about Charlie and about what Charlie cared about. That doesn't happen with I tell you what. Because, again, I like to steel man my arguments, and I like to grant and cede and be charitable and generous. Let me ask you this. Let's say there was billions. No, fuck that. There was quadrillions of dollars, of US dollars, worth of fraud committed by Charlie Kirk himself. How does pointing that out help investigate who murdered him? Now, let's say, for instance, it is that hypothetical. Fine. He's got financial ties to so many people. Oh, yeah. But what are we talking about here? A couple $1,000,000 at most to some friends? Let's say we wanted to be. Let's just think the worst of intentions. We were just giving millions of dollars to our friends. Why would they want to kill me? Oh, wait. I forgot she's retarded.
Struck by the fact that you're still trying to conflate an annual audit with Charlie's explicit request to put together a Doge department.
Damn it, Candace, why don't you go get a science book? You're starting to sound like a fucking retard.
7 days before he died. These are not the same. You know they're not the same. I know they're not the same. Okay. Everyone knows that Doge is not the same as the audits that are required for 501c3s, conducting an internal audit. And having you still misrepresent that makes us uncomfortable. Address the Doge. That's got nothing to do with anything other than.
Look, folks, this isn't like JFK going, you know what? We want to shatter the CIA into 50,000 pieces and shatter it to the winds, and need to talk about yeah, this isn't that, folks. Alright? Good grief. I'd like to take a moment real quick to just be like, completely sincere. Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for this time. Forgive me of my sins as I work to forgive others who have sinned and trespassed against myself. I haven't asked this specifically in a while, and I guess because I haven't really thought about it so deeply. This is really starting to weigh on me, Lord. Be with Charlie Kirk's family and friends, and those who genuinely cared about him. Dealing with what was already a tragic loss to now be put through see, it's a double-edged sword, Lord. We know that. You know? But be with him. And just let him know that no matter what this world and the devil says or does, that Charlie's there. Charlie's with the Lord. Charlie fought the good fight. And it's on us to just keep fighting the good fight and not subject ourselves to these demons. Not be like the demons. But, I know, Lord, and my be with those that loved Charlie. Be with them now. May this prayer give them just a moment of reflection of the awesomeness that was Charlie Kirk. And Father, may your will be done. On this earth as it is in heaven. In the name above all names. Amen. Because yeah, it's been way too long since I've prayed specifically for his family. Because this sister just sucks so bad. So bad. And the people who don't have empathy for that, it's just...
And Charlie, right? Charlie felt that this needed to happen. And inside sources at your own company say it was because he didn't know where the money was coming from or how quickly and where exactly the money was being evaporated to. That passes the vibe check in terms of what Doge is about, because, of course, Charlie could not have been establishing Doge for the last 5 years, because that's a very new concept as of 2025, something that Trump put into place with Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, right? So, yeah, you're still being dishonest, but carry on.
Candace has made other stranger allegations involving French paratroopers in maroon shirts, Egyptian Air Force planes flying out of Provo, Utah, and potential underground assassins traveling through unseen tunnels. At one point in early November, she started wildly throwing suspicion on members of Utah Valley's soccer team for wearing hoodies. I could go on. There is always something new coming up, and none of it ever pans out because from the start, there has been nothing there.
Okay, so no matter how many times you keep pretending there's nothing there.
That's not true. There is a misstep, an oversight that led to his death. And that is, nobody put even a body blocking anybody from going up. That's it. And you know what? It's almost worse that it's just that. It's not some elaborate plot like you'd see in a movie. It was someone didn't check a motherfucking box. And Charlie Kirk died because of it. And they know that. And I guarantee they feel it every day. You know who doesn't feel anything? You sociopathic, evil human being. I will try to refrain. But I will call out evil where evil is, and who is perpetrating evil.
The Egyptian planes. The whole internet understands that there's something there with the Egyptian planes, especially because you keep pretending like it's not weird. Like you're just like, it's not weird. No, this is normal. It's totally fine that these Egyptian planes, and also, by the way, today it broke that the Saudi king was on this plane at some point in 2023. We'll get to that later. And you guys are like, this is totally normal. This is just what happens at UVU. People just lay over into Wilmington, do things. It's just so foolish. You guys have got to stop the gaslighting if you think your organization is going to survive. I mean,
so I want to hear exactly what you think happened. You've asked these questions. After this debate, I want them to show up with a whiteboard. And you ask your questions, and we'll write the questions up on the whiteboard, and then they'll give their answers. And after the whole thing is done, after you've had all of your questions answered, whether you agree with the answers or not, I want you to then tell the whole of the world exactly what you, Candace Owens, believe actually took place. No vagaries, no nuances, just this is what happened, this is who murdered Charlie Kirk, and this is why they did so. But you won't do any of those things. You're going to ride this grift until the next one, because that's what you've done ever since leaving Black Lives Matter. And unfortunately, too many, far too many, don't have the brains or the balls to call you an evil bitch and say, get to the back. Or better yet, just get off. You're no longer welcome here.
Some of that stuff is just untrue. Saying that I went after somebody for wearing a green hoodie is not true at all. We never even covered the green hoodie people on this show. I shared a picture when somebody asked for a picture because they were trying to investigate and identify everyone who was there, which is valid. And the person wearing the green hoodie was not even upset about it. He responded. So that has nothing to do with me whatsoever. And by the way, it would probably feel better to the public if you guys were the ones that were asking questions about who was there on that day. I completely stand by what I said about the people that are wearing maroon shirts. They are going to, I will guarantee you, represent a military unit somewhere. I'm very close to figuring out exactly which military unit that was. Again, trying to gaslight us and pretend we're conspiracy theorists or like that's stupid. Not a good long-term strategy for Turning Point USA. Carry on.
The attacks and allegations from Candace are either lies or they are innuendos thrown around with a total reckless disregard for the truth so that Candace can manipulate and string along an audience of
levity. I want to see if I'm wrong.
For Turning Point USA. Carry on.
The attacks and allegations from Candace are either lies or they are innuendos thrown around with a total reckless disregard for the truth so that Candace can manipulate and string along an audience of people who don't realize they are being played. Instead of being able to grieve properly after one of the most heinous murders in American history, a murder many of us had to witness, my friends have had to endure harassment from people who have gotten whipped up by what Candace is saying. In fact, I would say we have suffered more harassment from these people than we have from Antifa supporters who overtly celebrate Charlie's murder. And just like a lot of those Antifa members, many of these people take this delight in how gross and unpleasant they can be. What our friends have had to endure is not...
That's the face of a demon. A dude is literally pouring out his fucking heart. And that's the reaction of someone who apparently, at one point, really cared about this whole... That's not true. That's evil.
Funny, and it's not insignificant. It is evil. I have seen it.
It's true. It's true. It's damn true. I don't know if that's copywritten, but all credit goes to Kurt Angle. But yeah, that's evil.
Okay, conflating people that are trying to figure out who murdered Charlie Kirk with like Antifa is actually objectively funny. That's an unforced error. They should not have included that in the statement. Somebody in that room was like, should we say that? Should we not? And somebody said, no, we shouldn't say that. And then somebody else in the room said, no, we should. Let's keep it in. That second person was wrong. That should have been struck from the statement. It's very silly. Okay. It's very silly to attack your own audiences who are concerned and your own donors who are concerned and say, you're Antifa if you don't accept this absurd Fed slop. If you're not going to drink the Fed slop, then you are Antifa. Just not a good idea whatsoever, okay? That is not what's happening here. You are not the victim. Charlie is, actually. He's dead. And to pretend like you are too aggrieved to be able to answer the questions makes entirely no sense. Obviously, if you were actually under a real amount of stress.
So are you saying they're not? Are you saying they're not under a large amount of stress trying to keep an institution, an organization as large as Turning Point USA going without the face? Or are they not under stress trying to raise two kids without a husband and a father? Are they not under stress trying to get donors to donate without the key spokesman, the founder, the face again? Again, this is a huge organization. No, they're not under any real stress. It's all fake. It's all fake stress. No, it's real stress that's multiplied by your evil bitch self. And anybody who watches you to not condemn you And your actions and your words, fuck them too. Anybody who watches you with a genuine, like, anybody who doesn't really know you, like who isn't related to you and just watches you but is like infatuated with you, fuck them. They are retarded lemmings that, man, if I only had control over them, this nation and yes, I almost said this world would look different. Yep. Let me be the guy in the box.
If you actually were deeply upset that people had you on a list of suspects or thought that you were suspicious, you would just clarify things instantly, immediately. It's so easy. It's free. If someone said, Candace, what were you doing when Charlie Kirk was...
We're all retarded, I guess. Yes, we're all retarded. Look, just because the crime was committed in public doesn't mean the investigation is going to be public. You fucking retarded evil bitch. Or who is taking advantage of retarded lemmings. And it's going to cost us in the elections. And you don't care? You don't care about Turning Point? You don't care about conservatives? You don't care about America or Americans? Nope. The only person you care about is yourself.
shot, I'd be like, I was sitting down at my table prepping my show. Like the question doesn't offend me because I had nothing to do with Charlie dying. Okay. This is a psychological technique that is failing. It is failing for you. And you're upset because you thought that with time, with the passage of time, people would let the story go and they didn't. And these reasons that he's about to list for why they didn't respond and answer any questions are beyond ridiculous. Let's take a look.
They're exactly what any lawyer is going to tell you. They're exactly what any investigative authority is going to tell you. Well, this is... I forget what her degree was in. I'm sure it wasn't journalism, because this is journalism 101. Again, I don't know what her degree was in. I just know that she cries about she had student loan at one point. Anyway.
Listen.
For months, we have received hundreds, thousands, I suspect, emails and calls asking us to respond.
Yeah.
People have wanted us to invite Candace on the show. But for a long time, our approach was to say nothing. We did that for several reasons. First, we thought that her prevarications were so absurd that nobody would believe them. We shouldn't have to answer questions about secret tunnels or Egyptian Air Force planes. That sort of thing is just, it's beneath contempt to respond to.
That's true.
The second reason we've said so little, though, is because there's a good rule of thumb, which Charlie followed. Do not feed the trolls. Focus on the mission. Reviving America, uplifting young people, making heaven crowded. Don't give air to people who want to tear you down and sow discord. Lastly, we didn't respond because Charlie always viewed Candace as a friend, and we were holding out hope that she would return that friendship and stop what she was doing.
Okay, so the first thing he says there is we didn't respond because it's beneath us. Like, that's just not the right attitude. I mean, that is an elitist attitude. It is beneath us to respond to the very people who showed up in scores because they were so moved by Charlie's assassination that they all poured into the Staples Center, right? And poured their tears out and made videos and donated. It is beneath us to not to then respond to questions that you have that are meaningful, because we just think it's so stupid that you would suggest that the feds are involved in an assassination. That's never.
The problem is these questions weren't natural. They weren't individuals didn't have these thoughts. These thoughts were perpetrated by people like you. And when they didn't immediately get laughed and ridiculed out of existence, because even here in my own nation, it's full of mainly retards. They started clicking, and because they were clicking, you kept on keeping on. And it's going to be that way. And I don't see people getting smarter. So you're probably just going to keep on keeping on. Because they're not smart. The artards aren't getting smarter. And the people who aren't artards are weak cowards who won't ask you, hey, did you ever have any romantic feelings for Charlie? Hey, were you ever jealous of Erica? Hey, why won't you and Brandon Tatum ever talk crap about each other, especially publicly? Exactly. Yeah. Nope. You get to be the conservative Catholic face. And it's just what times we live in.
Happened in American history. What? So that's a ridiculous thing. The second thing he says there is Charlie always said, don't feed the trolls. Well, that flies into the face of what he says thereafter, where he says Candace and Charlie were friends. So I'm not a troll, okay? I'm not a troll. I'm not trolling. I'm not someone who's hated Turning Point and wanted Turning Point to fail. I'm actually the exact opposite of that. And that's why the people believe in me and they trust me, because they feel that I'm the only one that's acting right in the situation. Who wouldn't want to have every stone unturned if they cared about somebody? Who wouldn't want to have every question answered? Who wouldn't be immediately suspicious to see Egyptian military jets? Who wouldn't go, why the hell were these jets around Turning Point way before, years before Charlie's assassination? Who is on these jets? Instead, you're mentioning the Egyptian planes for the fourth time. So I would like to recommit everybody that is watching this to figuring out what the hell is going on with these Egyptian planes, because they're nervous about them, okay? They're mentioned so many times. They're just trying to give the vibe that this is so crazy. No, they are fearful. The Egyptian planes hold the key, and that is obvious even in Blake Neff's statement. But yeah, I am not a troll, okay? And people followed what felt to them as authenticity, and it was not you. They were not getting that from Charlie's closest friends. Why is that? They weren't getting that from Charlie's most loved pastors. Why is that?
You're so evil.
Don't blame me for the bad energy that you exuded, okay? Don't blame me for the fact that you didn't pass the gut check with the public. That's why you're doing this, okay? That is why you are doing this, because your strategy failed. In fact, this is your old school Turning Point before they put on the faith pants. This is your old school Turning Point lesson in what the free markets are. The free markets saw what you were offering, right? And they saw what I was offering. You were offering we should accept this and move on, and I was saying we need to investigate this, and the free markets said no to Turning Point USA. Anyways, let him.
Proof that way too many of my fellow Americans are retarded fucking lemmings. Because she's not wrong. 2 million views in a day. 2 million views on this. And you look at the comments section. Now maybe they're just erasing all of the comments that say she's evil. And maybe they're botting. Oh, Candace, don't go in person. They're gonna try to kill you too. But I don't think so. I think there's just way too fucking many retarded lemmings. And I'm about at the point where it's like, I really wish the cliff would just come. And as sad as I'm gonna be, because I do care about other human beings, what's the alternative? This is what adults do. This is what adults who are supposed to be coming up with policies on how to help the elderly, because Social Security's falling short because it wasn't meant to be what it's turned into, because kids have moved hundreds, thousands of miles away, no longer helping to take. What if we incentivized children helping out their elderly parents, while also incentivizing parents to have children? Where's that propaganda? Where's the... No, I'm not gonna go move to the city to make 6 figures. I'm gonna stay. I don't need 2-car garage. I got a 1-car garage and I'm fine. My wife gets to stay home and take care of our kids and make this house into an amazing home. I get to say, look, I provide enough that my wife feels secure enough that she can stay home and take care of the house and the kids and her dad and others. And where's the incentivization of that? True good, doing good. Where is that being incentivized? Doing good. This is adult. There are nuclear weapons in the world, and this is what adults are taking time to participate in. And not to be pissed off, but to go, what's the new breadcrumb today, Candace? Again, I wish I was the guy in the box that they were just... And then I'd be done with my hour-long episode and they'd watch a movie like Good Will Hunting or Shawshank Redemption, or read a book like Basic Economics by Thomas Sowell, or The Republic by Plato, or they'd read about like what Hamilton or Madison thought about the construction of a nation, of a country, of the inner workings of different governments. Nope. Nope. 2 million people gonna watch this evil bitch talk about Egyptian planes. You know? You know? Maybe we deserve it. In fact, no. 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 If this shit's gonna be my reality, then fuck it. There's no maybe about it. We deserve it. If Sodom and Gomorrah deserved it, we have earned it 10 times over. Because unlike Sodom and Gomorrah, we have people who are claiming Christ is king doing this to millions of young people. And it's both sad and anger is warranted. It's not without cause. But here's the thing, man. The Father, he ain't done yet. And so my only job is to try to make disciples of men and serve the Father. And be very thankful for all the blessings that I have in my life. And I am. If you choose not to change your ways, there is a special place for you after this life. I hope she's almost done with this.
Let him take this away in terms of what he thought, I guess, was the best way to be a friend to Charlie Kirk. What did he think was the best way for them to show that they were friends with Charlie Kirk? Keep going, Blake.
But a week from now, it's going to be 3 months since Charlie's murder. Candace has not changed her behavior. She has continued to spread falsehoods about Charlie's friends, and she continues to concoct new ones about new people. She's using these falsehoods to enrich herself while dividing the conservative movement at an absolutely critical time for this country.
I have to applaud that audacity. I have to applaud it. You do. You have to applaud it. These, excuse me here, but like, I'm trying not to swear. These men, okay, this company, these amazing lads over here had the audacity to accuse me of enriching myself when they were out there selling t-shirts, okay, of what Charlie died in to
what? To help fund the organization that was going to be in desperate need of funds without the face being there. And now you're going to mock them for trying to keep Turning Point going. Do you? I'm just torn. I'm like sad looking at a retard. And I'm pissed off. I'm looking at an evil person. I'm sad. I'm pissed off. I'm sad. I'm pissed off. You encompass so so much that should be despised. The epitome of evil is Candace Owens.
Enrich themselves. Were they giving those t-shirts away for...
And maybe Charlie could just sense it. And that's why there was never a Candace Kirk.
Free at the Staples Centers. No, they were selling kit of what Charlie died in to the tune of $80 million plus that they made in the first 3 weeks. Okay. They made their entire budget for the year in the first couple of weeks following Charlie's assassination. And they are attacking me with zero proof that I've made a single dollar off of Charlie's assassination.
Rather than, whoa, hold on. Whoa. If the title of every episode of your show for the last 3 months was Candace goes biking in, well, Candace makes curry. Candace being Candace. Candace goes hiking with hubby. Do you really think that you'd be seeing the ad revenue that you're receiving right now? You're gonna say that? You care about Charlie so much. How do you think Charlie would feel about his... Let's say Charlie was alive. And 3 weeks after the Utah speech, he said something that just went viral, and just everybody's like, I want to join Turning Point. And they had 80. How do you think? Why is that a bad thing? Jesus said it is good to do good. And you are evil doing evil. And you profess to believe. The worst of us. That is what you are. Those who are cold, they're better than you. For it's you who claim to believe and do things like this. That's the worst of us. Sad and angry.
I did not sell a cup. I did not sell a mug. Okay. All I did was do what I already do for a living. Okay.
Stupid question.
I podcast and I investigate things. I investigate things that I feel passionate about. Sometimes it's Kamala's genealogy when she's saying she wants to be the president and things aren't making sense. And I sense that she is lying.
Okay, folks. All right. What she's passionate about, right? So, yeah, we're all a bunch of retards. This is what people with who they will decide who they vote for based on what this person is saying. And this is what this person is saying they themselves are passionate about. It's not as if someone was like, let me make a caricature of Candace Owens. She cares about Kamala Harris, genealogy, Bridget Macron being a man, and Egyptian planes. Yeah. And who's she voting for? Because that is who she is in her own words.
Sometimes it's Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds when they tried to destroy a man's life who's not even on my quote unquote political team. Sometimes it's Brigitte and why we are colluding with nations to cover the obvious fact that Brigitte was born a male. And this time it's personal and it's you. Do you want to know what all of these investigations have in common?
They're fucking retarded and would only be thought of by a person living in a completely degenerate fucking society. Do better, America. Do better. You can't make America great again until we make Americans great again. And this ain't cutting it. And I thought my jokes were bad.
Liars who lie and think that the public is too stupid to see through their lies. That is how we got into this. Okay? I did not sell anything.
Project much?
You did that. You guys did that. You guys continued to do that. You guys wanted to just move on and to grift off of Charlie's legacy. I dedicated myself.
And you're going to grift off his assassination, you evil cunt.
To figuring out who murdered him. So, anyways, he does get to the point here, which is that they are willing to finally address things head on. So I will let Blake say that.
And far too often, we here have heard from ordinary people, people who loved Charlie and who Charlie loved so much in return. These people have expressed the worry that we are staying silent out of cowardice or as some sort of tacit admission that some of the attacks are true. Neither is the case. Our silence has never been, and it will never be, equal to complacency or approval. Still, we decided Charlie would not allow this to go on. Charlie was not a coward. Charlie was a fighter. Charlie would not allow someone to spread lies about the people closest to him with impunity. And he would feel ashamed if other people were stepping up to defend his friends while he never did so himself.
I believe that.
Candace has mentioned several times that the ball is in our court. So here's what is going to happen. In the near future, there will be a live stream here in Phoenix where we address in a clear and comprehensive way the claims and accusations, the false accusations that have been made against Charlie's family, friends, and the people here at Turning Point. We plan to walk through everything carefully and thoroughly. If Candace is available, we would sincerely welcome her participation in that live stream at our studio here in Phoenix. At this point, we believe the ball is back in her court. Our motivation for doing this is not out of any obligation to Candace. It is about honoring Charlie. We feel a deep responsibility to protect his legacy, his work, and the truth. I feel that. I owe Charlie everything in my life. I feel it immensely. And that is why we feel compelled to speak clearly and openly now. We'll have more on this in the near future.
Speaking of the word necessary, it's utterly preposterous that Turning Point or anybody associated would feel it necessary to respond to this evil bitch. That being said, I would happily accept an invitation to be the one who asks her questions after she asks her questions. I promise to do so in an academic way, in a structured and polite, kind, not nice, but kind. And I, unlike her, would try. I would genuinely try to be generous and charitable. But I would ask the questions that need to be asked, because this cannot go on. This person inside of the box cannot be the person who guides the lemmings in my nation. My name is Dylan Thomas Tedder, and I will happily be the person inside of your box that guides your day-to-day living. and the thoughts and opinions and your worldviews be formed by taking in content that's created by myself. And again, you will be a better human for it. That much I can promise you. If this is what we're giving our time to.
Yay!
I didn't even plan on it, but you guys remember crank yankers? Yay! So she's joyful that she's going to force people that loved Charlie to relive every moment of it and the moments after. And delve into bullshit. That's bullshit. Why? Because, well, if she's going to get 2 million views just speaking about the breadcrumbs, how many clicks is she going to get when she actually gets to sit across from Turning Point USA? Sad and angry, retarded and evil. Candace Owens. This is Flipping Tables for Christ. Take care. I love y'all. And don't be like her. Be blessed.